Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Phoenix Wright, Justice for All, Episode 2, Reunion and Turnabout. In the last episode, in the last YouTube episode, we started the Phoenix Wright episode. We are 2 months in the past where Maya was channeling the dead nurse of a serious case that a doctor wanted to have sign a confession of killing 14 people. And the girl, Maya, ended up killing the doctor while possessed. Now, I don't know what the actual legal approach would be in a case like this, like in the real world. Given everything that happens in this game would be possible and true in the real world, would Maya truly be the liable cause of death of the man? Provided Maya did do it. I don't think she did. I think that weird redhead Eeny Meeny is the culprit. But today we're going to start our first day on trial. So, got my headphones on, and let's get started. Okay, so let's go save over our part. We are now ready for part 2. June 21st, 9:48 a.m. District Court Defendant Lobby number 3. What? Prosecutor Von Karma? You mean... No, I heard it's a successor this time. Successor? Manfred Von Karma was a really sinister man. He pulled all sorts of nasty tricks, all so he could win. He was a man obsessed with the word perfection. He had a perfect record for 40 long years. Who knows what sort of dirty tricks he used to get each of those guilty verdicts. And now his successor. I wonder what kind of person they will turn out to be. You know, something that I thought of just now, actually, is would all of his cases be readdressed, knowing that he was a dirty prosecutor who lied to get guilty convictions? Would all those cases go back through the court system to be proven whether or not they were actually guilty or not? I don't know. This is how much of the law I actually don't know. It's no good. Mystic Maya. Pearly! You showed up! Thanks for coming all this way. I was really worried about you. Where's your mother? Didn't you two come together? Mother is watching over the trainees. She said they have training for 2 days straight with no breaks. Then you came all by yourself? Yeah, I snuck out of the manor and followed a map. Don't tell me you walked all the way here. Of course not. I ran. I can't, oh my. If it takes 2 hours by train. Oh goodness, this poor kid had to leave home before 6 in the morning. Pearly, what about the train? Huh? What's a train? I give up. Oh my goodness. So then she ran all the way from the manor. Pearly, you're now my new favorite character in this game. It's time, isn't it? I'm really scared. What if Von Karma tries to do something to me? At least I know Mr. Edgeworth would be nicer to me than Von Karma. Mr. Edgeworth. Who is that? He's Nick's rival. Well, he's also a friend. I still remember him as though I'd seen him only yesterday. Every trial was a scorchingly fierce battle until the very end. It was always back and forth with them, but when you're rivals for life, Maya, please don't mention that name ever again. Huh? But why, Nick? I'm sorry, Maya. I forgot you don't know. He's gone. And he's not coming back. He died?! Hey, best friend. Why would you buy me a game where fan favorite Edgeworth died? I became attached to my favorite Edgeworth. I became an Edgeworth fan. Why did you buy me this game? What? Well, wait a sec. What's that supposed to mean? Court will commence shortly. Please proceed to the courtroom. Let's go. Now's not the time to talk about that anyway. Nick. You've betrayed my trust. It's only been 4 episodes, best friend. Court is now in session for the trial of Maya Fey. Are the prosecution and defense prepared? Oh, she's actually pretty. I was actually expecting her to be some sort of demon man woman. Also, a demon man. Ahem. Mr. Wright, are you prepared? Huh? Yes, Your Honor. Why does he always seem mad at me? Mr. Phoenix Wright. You must be a little shocked because I am a woman, correct? Hold on. So she's the famed successor to Prosecutor Von Karma? I am Franziska Von Karma, the prodigy. I see. I gave up a promising career in Germany and came to this country for one sole reason. Revenge. Is that a whip? Revenge? Is this about her father, Manfred Von Karma? If it's something of a personal nature, I'm sure you can. Ow! I'm talking! Why does she have a whip in the courtroom? If you interrupt again, my whip will do the speaking for me. Please speak for your mouth like a normal person. I beg you. Yow! Make no mistake. I will defeat you. Prepare to go down, Mr. Phoenix Wright. Prosecutor Von Karma, your opening statement, please. Those of Von Karma blood have only one fate, and that is perfection. The defendant, Maya Fey, will find no escape from her guilt on my watch. Very well. What is the defense's position? Your Honor, does the defense wish to enter a plea of not guilty? Yes. Foolish fool who foolishly dreams of foolish dreams. It's like she is still a child. 10 minutes. I give the defense 10 minutes before it changes its plea. That's right. I'll have you running for the justified self-defense plea in no time. Justified self-defense? A plea usually reserved for when a person unintentionally kills in defense of themselves. We could very easily make a solid case that it was self-defense, but the defense stands by the plea of not guilty, Your Honor. Because to plead justified self-defense is to say you did kill someone. How foolish. If that's how you want to play it, Mr. Phoenix Wright, then I shall now call the first witness. She's just as scary as her father. Like father, like daughter, I suppose. You know, what we have, though, she's definitely not as maniacal as Manfred was. She's at least dignified. Witness, your name and occupation. Yes, sir. My name is Dick Gumshoe. I'm a detective at the local precinct. Ah! Get to the point already. Explain to the court the details of this murder. Yes, sir. If everyone would please look at this map. The channeling chamber has no windows, and the door was locked shut. At the time of the murder, only the victim and the defendant were in the room. What were they doing in there? They were channeling a spirit, sir. Channeling a spirit? That's quite the look of disbelief there, Your Honor. Anyways, a few minutes after the channeling started, gunshots were heard coming from inside the room, sir. A few of the witnesses broke the door down and rushed into the room. And that's when they found the victim was already dead, correct? Oh, that was the judge. I believe this is one of the most open and shut cases I've ever presided over. So, how was the victim killed? I was about to get to that. Stop wasting my time, then. Cause of death. The direct cause of death was a pistol shot to the forehead, sir. The shot was fired from point-blank range. But before the victim was shot, sir, he was stabbed in the chest. The wound was very severe, but not enough to cause instantaneous death. The murderer used the pistol to finish the victim off after the stabbing. So the victim was stabbed before being shot. This is the victim's autopsy report, sir. The contradiction is that he couldn't have been shot in the forehead. There's a hole the size of a bullet in the screen. The court accepts it into evidence. Mr. Wright, you may question the witness. Cause of death. Here we go. The murder weapon, detective. Whose pistol was it? It was the victim's. The victim? Now, why would he have a pistol? Who cares? The point that you are missing is whose fingerprints are on that pistol. If you're not already paying attention to that, then I suggest you start. Fingerprints? There were fingerprints? Along with the victims, the defendant, Maya Fey's, were also on the grip, sir. So the defendant's fingerprints were left on the murder weapon. Walked right into her hands there. The shot was fired from point-blank range. But before the victim was shot, he was stabbed in the chest. Stabbed. And what was he stabbed with? A fruit knife. I see. And whose knife was it? It looks like it belongs to the Feys, sir. And of course, Maya Fey's fingerprints were all over it. All over it, huh? This does not look good. See, she does not look maniacal. This has to be the best character design I've seen in a character. The wound was very severe, but not enough to cause instantaneous death. How severe was the wound? If it had been half an inch more to the right, it would have hit the victim's heart. After a stab like that, it would be impossible to fight back, let alone stand. Makes it sound like Maya stabbed him with the intent to kill. Are you sure that he was stabbed first, then shot? Yep. Sure as sure can be. One look at the wound, and you'd come to the same conclusion too, pal. A fool is a fool who will only listen to the foolish opinions of other foolish fools. A pistol shot to the forehead is at point blank is certainly enough to instantly kill. Doesn't matter then which was first. think a little more before you open that big mouth of yours, Mr. Phoenix Wright? What a pain. Nothing sounds out of place so far. How far away is that? It's anywhere between 12 and 20 inches away. And how do you know he was shot at point blank? Tisk, 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 Mr. Phoenix Wright. I grow tired of the foolish foolery of the foolish fools in this foolish country. Excuse me? Gunpowder burn. Gunpowder burn. When something is shot from point blank, a burn area is left around the bullet hole. Gunpowder exploding is what makes a bullet fire, and that gets real hot, pal. And there were definitely some gunpowder wounds left on the victim's forehead. Never knew that. Live and learn, I guess. That's enough. We have clearly established how the victim was murdered. I brought the 2 murder weapons with me today. Very well, the court accepts them into evidence. Murder weapon was Gray's. 2 shots fired. Bears, Maya's, Gray's. The date and time of death was June 19th at 3:17 p.m. Eyewitnesses claim to have heard 2 gunshots at this time and 2 murder weapons, both with the defendant's fingerprints on them, huh? This does seem like an open and shut case. Naturally. This is going from bad to worse. As if the summary just now was oversimplifying things to the extreme. Your Honor, feel free to slam that little gavel of yours. After all, there's no room left for doubt, is there? That is quite true, Mr. Wright. Yes? Even in the face of all this, do you still wish to plead not guilty? It's the opinion of this court that if you do not adjust your plea, you stand to lose. See, just as I promised, Mr. Phoenix Wright. Would you change your plea in less than 10 minutes? What will you do, Mr. Wright? Will you change to justified self-defense? Because now would be the time to do so. This is your final chance. If we plead justified self-defense, we would basically be confessing to murder. After the trial, Maya's life would be ruined and she'd be labeled a murderer. I can't let that happen. Your Honor, have you reached a conclusion, Mr. Wright? The defense will not change its plea. We will accept nothing short of complete acquittal. You have sealed your fate, Mr. Phoenix Wright. Detective? Yes, sir. Present the final portion of your testimony, the final strike. Yes, sir. Now see here, proceedings are run by... Eek! Yes, of course. Go ahead, detective, and give your testimony. I think the court would like to hear about the other piece of incriminating evidence. Incriminating evidence. But there's an even more incriminating piece of evidence. This is the costume the defendant was wearing at the time of the crime. As you can see, it's covered in blood. The defendant attacked and killed a person who, without a doubt, was not fighting back. So this is the costume. There certainly is evidence of a back spray of blood on this. This piece directly links Maya Fey to the crime, sir. I see. The court accepts this into evidence. There are blood splatters on it. All right, Mr. Wright. Maya's fingerprints on both murder weapons and blood splatters on her clothes. Could this situation get any worse? Ha! What's wrong? You seem to be at a loss. I think this is the last piece of testimony the prosecution should have to offer. Feel free to sulk off with your tail between your legs, Mr. Phoenix Wright. Please stop calling me by my full name. It's disturbing. Okay. This is the costume the defendant was wearing. Maya's costume. Yeah, she was wearing this when we arrested her. Maya, she's wearing her channeling costume today too. Is she not allowed to wear anything else? As you can see, it's covered in blood. There's blood on the costume. Lab results show that it is the victim's blood. So there is blood from the victim on the defendant's clothes. Definitely not good. Were there any other clues you could glean from this piece of evidence? Well, if you must change the topic, then the good detective here must testify again. But too bad, not enough time. Let's move on. Let's press a little further. Why is Miss Von Karma suddenly putting up resistance? There must be a reason as to why she suddenly threw out an objection like that. There must be something about this costume. I just have to look harder. Mr. Wright, Miss Von Karma's logic is perfect. There's no way for you to poke a hole in it. Looks like my time is up, so what about the costume? Your Honor. Actually, there is something wrong with this piece of evidence. But what? What are you talking about, pal? Where is this problem you're talking about? We've come this far. There's no turning back now. The problem I have with this piece of evidence is here. Oh, there's a hole! I ask that the court please take a look at the sleeve of this costume. The sleeve? There's a tiny hole here. A hole. But that wasn't in the report. Hold on. What is this around the hole? It smells faintly of gunpowder. Gunpowder? No one ever told me. A hole that smells of gunpowder. It looks like I found the hole I was looking for. Your Honor, the only logical conclusion you can make is that it must be a bullet hole. Order, order, order. This is a very grave matter. It's best we correct the court record first before anything else. Sorry about that. I guess we messed up, sir. Is she actually smiling? What else is she hiding? Pull yourself together, detective. That tiny hole doesn't change a thing. The strength of the evidence still holds. Continue with your testimony. That just now was a fluke. Nothing more. How can you say something like that? This is a huge oversight. While I agree it is a mistake on the part of the police. What Prosecutor Von Karma has said is true. The evidence still stands. If you do not find more definitive problem with the evidence, then no way. Please continue with your testimony. Yes, sir. Okay. The defendant attacked and killed a person who, without a doubt, was not fighting back. He wasn't fighting back? How do you know if he was or wasn't? We could find no evidence that the victim put up any sort of struggle, pal. So did the murderer have a fight with the victim or not? Depending on the circumstances around this murder change drastically. We're in real trouble now. Did fight back. She thinks she can decide the verdict with this one testimony alone. Okay, so I'd have to present. Diagram of the channeling room. Profiles. She was a top-notch lawyer, mentor, had a malpractice incident, murdered during a channeling. A channeling prodigy with immense spiritual power. I have to be able to present something here. A small fruit knife belongs to the Fays, bears her fingerprint. Diagram chamber. Does this work in here? Okay. I guess I'll press this one. Why didn't you say so in your testimony earlier? You're kind of scary today, you know, pal. Come now, Mr. Wright. There's no need for that kind of attitude in my court. Alright, just please stop glaring at me like that. Okay. So, let's present the costume again. Detective Dick Gumshoe. Yes. Having you call me by my full name is kind of a weird feeling. You said that my client killed a person who, without a doubt, was not fighting back. Yeah, I did. Then what, may I ask, is the bullet hole you police overlooked supposed to mean? What does it mean? I'll tell you what it means. It means that the victim had fired off a shot. Oh! Is that not what it means to not fight back? You're right. It seems you are correct. If the victim had tried to shoot the defendant, then it would clearly change everything. The wind seems to be shifting. Ha! What's with that "are you finished yet" laugh? Are you finished yet, Mr. Phoenix Wright? Ms. Von Karma, it seems that Maya Fey was shot at by the victim. However, that is only grounds enough to support a justified self-defense plea. That is correct. But I'm sure you remember, Your Honor, that the defense clearly said they rejected justified self-defense and pleaded not guilty. Now that you... Why, that's right. Which means the defense has yet to prove anything at all. Well, yes, that's true. Furthermore, just the fact that there is a bullet hole in the costume is not enough to substantiate even a plea of justified self-defense. How so? Don't just stand there. Hurry up and tell the court what transpired that day. With the new information we acquired added in, of course. You mean by myself? You want me to put together the scenario all by myself? Yes, sir. Right away, sir. What transpired? During the channeling, the defendant saw her chance to stab the victim in the chest. Of course, the victim used the last of his strength to fight back, sir. While the two were fighting, the victim took out his gun. The victim took a shot, but they were too close and he missed. The defendant then picked up on the opening, took the victim's gun, and ended it. The scenario you have to put together does make sense. Well, Mr. Wright, on the surface it does seem to make sense. However, I won't give up that easily. Please refrain from glaring at me like that. Now then, your cross-examination, please. During the channeling, the defendant saw her chance to stab the victim in the chest. There is quite a difference in height between Dr. Gray and the defendant. Add in body strength, and it seems unlikely the defendant could have stabbed the victim. Now that you mention it, yeah, I guess. Do you think you can get away with such flimsy reasoning, Mr. Phoenix Wright? Maya Fey was in the middle of channeling, was she not? When channeling with the Crane channeling technique, the medium physically changes. With the nurse's build, the defendant could have easily been a match for the doctor. I don't believe it. She even studied up on the Crane channeling technique. Like I said before, I'm perfect. About what you were talking about, I didn't quite get it. Never mind, let's continue with the testimony. The victim used the last of his strength to fight back. So he was stabbed, but the stab wound didn't kill him. But if you think about the blood loss, he was probably hurt really badly. How badly hurt would you say he was? Actually, I went to give blood the other day, and afterwards I felt a little lightheaded and dizzy. I guess the damage was maybe about 10 times the dizziness? Ah! Sorry. While the two were fighting, the victim took out his gun. Where in the world did that pistol come from? It looks like the victim, Dr. Gray, had specifically brought it for that day. But a handgun? He got it off the black market about 2 days before the murder. Why did Dr. Gray bring a gun? Was he taking precautions against something? Took a shot, but because they were too close, he missed. So you're saying that the bullet hole in the costume was made then? Sorry, pal, but yeah, that's what I think. The two of them were already fighting when the shot was fired. I'm really glad you weren't hurt. Picked up on the opening, took the victim's gun, and ended it. Maya has never fired a gun before in her life. The victim had already taken off the safety. With the safety off, even an amateur like you can fire it, just by pulling the trigger. Even me. I wonder. Now do you understand? Von Karma's logic is perfect. His testimony certainly makes us look very bad, but there's gotta be a contradiction in there somewhere. And uncovering it is going to uncover the truth. I can feel it. So let me check what we've got. Okay. Of course, the victim used the last of his strength while the two were fighting, took out his gun. And he missed. Objection! Missing the tiny hole on this costume will be the prosecution's undoing. What? What do you mean? This little hole has actually created a huge hole in your testimony. Explain yourself, Mr. Wright. You said the two of them were fighting when the victim fired his gun at point blank. If that were true, then where's the gunpowder burn on this costume? Ah, gunpowder burn. This is what you testified earlier. When something is shot from point blank, a burn area is left around the bullet hole. Oh, but there's not a single trace of gunpowder burn on this costume. That is a very good point. And what exactly does this mean? It means that when the shot was fired, they were standing apart from each other. I'm disappointed, Mr. Phoenix Wright. You think you can punch a hole in my logic with that? With wishy-washy thinking like that, anyone can explain anything away. Then I implore you to disprove my line of thinking. Let's see. In the middle of their fight, the victim pushed the defendant away, and it was then, when they were separated, that he fired. How was that? As if that was even possible, according to the testimony, the wound from the stabbing was very severe. The victim would not have had the strength to push the defendant very far after that. Well then, that's right, the defendant must have pushed the victim away. After stabbing him, she must have put some space between the doctor and herself. And then, while she was preparing to strike again, the doctor took his shot. There, that should satisfy even you. That does make an awful lot of sense. What do you think, Mr. Wright? You must be careful. I can't afford to make a mistake here. Something doesn't make sense. There's a fatal flaw in her argument, Your Honor. Fatal flaw? Yow! Very interesting. I would love to see what this flaw is. Show me something that contradicts my explanation. She put some distance between them before rushing to make the final blow. And when she was about to strike, the doctor took his shot. That is the screen. This is the piece of evidence that destroys your logic. What is that? A folding screen? I would like to point the court's attention to the hole in this folding screen. Ah. It looks like you already know what I'm talking about. Who? Where? What? Mr. Wright, your explanation, please. Are these two really that clueless? The bullet went through the defendant's sleeve, then the folding screen. It passed through at a height of approximately 8 inches off the ground, which means when the shot was fired, Maya, I mean the defendant, was not getting ready to strike, but was actually squatting low to the ground. Order! Order! This changes everything. Please look at this diagram of the crime scene. The victim, Dr. Gray, was here when he fired the shot. The bullet hits this folding screen. It hits at this location about 8 inches off the ground. At this time, the defendant was in this area. Somewhere around here. The judge's face is scrunched up like he smelled something seriously bad. That is, I mean... Just realized I forgot to brush this morning. Excuse me while I freshen up. In the meantime, I want you to think things through again, Mr. Wright. Of course. Whoops. What's done is done. For now, the defendant was in this area. She was standing here, near the folding screen. Wait a second. We know the defendant was close to the ground based on the height of the hole, but how can you gauge the distance from that? Isn't it possible that the defendant was standing much closer to the victim? That's impossible. But why? You, of all people, should know the answer to that question, Miss Von Karma. If she was shot from somewhere close, there would be gunpowder burns present. However, there is nothing of the sort around the bullet hole of this costume. Ah! Curse you, Mr. Phoenix Wright, you! I believe it has now been proven that the defendant was standing a ways from the victim when she was shot at. But do you think this has changed the defendant's... It changes everything, because how could she get the gun? Honestly, Your Honor, this changes everything. The prosecution has claimed that the defendant was aiming to kill by stabbing. If that were true, delivering the final strike with the knife would be ideal. However, where and what was the defendant doing at that time? Squatting all the way by the folding screen? Exactly. If Maya Fey was the real murderer, why would she be by the folding screen instead of preparing to strike? Upon further consideration, it does make very little sense. I figured there had to be a reason. Figuring things out and proving the logic behind everything is your job. Alright, with this, the rest of the trial should be a blast radius of disaster. You are such a smart man, Mr. Phoenix Wright. To think that you've been able to take a completely hopeless case to this point. Now I know why Papa had a tough time with you. You amuse me. I really like her. I really thought that I was gonna as soon as I heard Von Karma as the name, I thought she was gonna be some megalomaniacal maniac. But she's become my favorite character in this. Of all the things to inherit, why did it have to be that smarmy smile? Detective, how dare you damage my perfect logic? Huh? How is it all my fault? You can start repairing your standing by removing that 3-strand goatee. Oh, and rest assured your punishment will come later. But punishment? Punishment. Well then, Your Honor, I think I've had all I can take of this detective's face. I think it's time to call in the next witness. Next witness, that's gotta be Lotta. Very well. The court will take a 5-minute recess. After we reconvene, we will hear from the next witness. To be continued. Well, that was a battle. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this first day of trial for the defense of Maya Fey in this very weird trial. Come here. No, closer. I like Von Karma. She has a bit of sass to her, and it's just so good. I like her character design. Okay, so now that we've dealt with Detective Gumshoe, it's time to deal with Lotta Hart. She even has photographs of everything that transpired, literally moments after the event happened, and Von Karma is definitely going to be using those photographs to try to win the case. We did prove on our end that Maya Fey is at least not really the murder suspect. We haven't proved without a reason of a doubt, but I'm suspecting that after the second part of the trial, we've proved enough to get us more time. If you guys enjoyed this episode of Phoenix Wright, Justice for All, please leave a comment in the comment section below. Mash the like button and subscribe if you have not for more Phoenix Wright content. We'll see you all in the second part of the trial. Later.